Hello and welcome to We Never Met, the podcast where I have an interesting stranger on every single week. And today we have...
Whitney Anderson.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am very good.
Good.
So you do a lot of stuff. You're very...
Yeah.
Simply
I do
put,
what I can.
You do a lot. And you're very... From the looks of social media, you're very busy all the time and you have a lot of stuff going on. So can you give people like a brief description kind of what you do?
Yeah. So to kind of sum it up a little bit, I'm a graphic designer who dabbles in like illustration, hand lettering. I still like to be hands-on with art as well. So I'll do some more like drawing, painting, that kind of stuff as well.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a very brief summary.
So did you go to school for all that stuff, or did you just kind of pick it?
Yeah.
Did you pick it up from an early age though? Were you doing all this stuff already?
I loved art as a child.
Okay.
Definitely was always like coloring in my free time. I grew up in a really rural area and my brothers are way older and moved out when I was little. So
you were like kind of an only
child type thing.
Yeah.
So I would draw for fun. Always had those like art supply kits with like markers and colored pencils.
Yeah.
They like fold open, watercolors. So I had a bunch of those and just loved art when I was a little kid. Took art classes all through school.
Yeah. Were you like an independent kid then? Because you were kind of, you had to find your own fun.
I kind of was forced to be. Yeah. Between like doing yard work on the farm.
You grew up on a farm?
I did.
That's cool.
A pumpkin farm.
Oh, in Wisconsin or somewhere else?
Illinois.
Okay.
Like 2.5 hours south of Milwaukee.
Oh,
so
dang.
yeah, my parents live there still. They just stopped doing pumpkins last year.
Okay.
So
because how was it again? Kind of the age where it's hard to do pumpkins.
It's my dad's 60th birthday today.
Oh yeah! Happy birthday!
Yeah. So it's just pumpkins are large and heavy and they did like it wasn't a come and pick your pumpkin from the patch type of thing. They grew them and then would take them to farmers markets every weekend.
Wow.
So they had to like haul them onto the truck, out of the truck, like just it's a lot of work. And it was a pretty small kind of small to us. They just sold at farmers markets. They weren't doing like wholesale to big stores or anything. But yeah, it was a lot of work. So
the Little People Big World show.
Yes,
they were pumpkin farmers, weren't they?
Were they really?
I thought they were.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And
I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes.
That always seemed like a massive task. Good for you. Like that you can lug out. Like they're heavy and huge.
Yeah, it taught me a lot of like hard work. I never had to like exercise or work out when I was living there because it's just like physical labor. Yeah, taught me good work ethic, I guess, in hindsight. It was, a family thing. I was required to help out and I got allowance, I got paid and it became kind of a job as when I was older, like in high school. Okay. So like I'd be, paid for my time and
that's good.
It wasn't like go pick
go
the pumpkins.
In the fields now.
No,
I don't want to, Mom.
But it was a lot of work. So yeah,
I can imagine.
Not when I wasn't doing pumpkin stuff, I was probably being creative in some way. I made a lot of weird, I don't know, just like would glue shit together and like make little sculptures. Pipe cleaners and buttons and like make flowers and stuff. It was very kitschy, but
So when you decided to do all this stuff, were your parents like kind of iffy about it?
Oh yeah.
Because they're from a completely different background and environment.
Yeah. I mean, when I learned what graphic design was, which was like my junior year of high school, I was like, oh my gosh, it's art that I can do for a living and not be like the starving artist. Mm-hmm. But my parents were definitely still very skeptical.
Sure.
It's
a different world.
They're both like, very blue collar jobs. Mm-hmm. The pumpkin thing was a side thing. So they both had full-time jobs.
The
other than
that.
They're just like my dad started it as a hobby and
how many acres was it on, by the way?
Grew out of that. It was like 2 acres. So it wasn't a lot, but
still a lot though.
A lot for
enough.
3 people to do. Yeah. So yeah, they both had, other 9-to-5 jobs.
Sure.
And, yeah, they kind of were just like, we're, we love you. We care about you.
Lovingly concerned.
We don't want you to, put all this money into college and not end up with a job at the end of it. But as time went on through college, they were like, oh, okay, we can see that you're doing okay. You're explaining things and like, you're showing us that there's possibilities and jobs for graphic designers. So
because is most of the stuff you do, is it on like an iPad or something now, or some sort of like tablet thing?
Yeah. A lot of the illustration I do now is on an iPad Pro, Apple Pencil. Some things I still love, like the texture of pen or pencil or ink on paper. And then I'll just scan stuff in high res and kind of work with it and manipulate it in Photoshop. But yeah, it has definitely sped my process up to use an iPad. It's just like the ease of not having to have tracing paper and pens and pencils and erasers and blah, blah, blah. You just have this one tiny thing in your bag and like, you can be on the go all the time. I love taking it like on airplanes. It's just so easy.
Because did you learn on all that stuff? Did you learn on like sketch paper and all that stuff in school?
Yeah. So the graphic design program that I had in high school was actually she started it out my sophomore year of high school. So it was very new. Like I went to a really small private school and there wasn't we didn't have Illustrator and Photoshop. We had free programs, Inkscape and GIMP.
Sounds like a free program.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, same kind of ideas, just not as advanced as that stuff. But yeah, I didn't really learn the whole digital illustration thing. And that I actually picked up way, way later.
Is it harder to do on or just different?
It's just different, I think.
Yeah.
And I think depending on a certain illustrator's style or preference, there probably are some that don't like it.
Sure.
A lot of the stuff that I do, so when I do lettering for a logo or something, I prefer using the iPad just because I can get a lot cleaner lines than I could on paper. I can zoom in. I will find myself when I'm working on paper now, trying to pinch and zoom in on the paper.
Come on.
Or if I mess up, double tap to go back. And I'm
just habitually just doing it. That's funny.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that was just something, technology is in such a crazy stage right now that
it's going so quickly.
iPad drawing on iPads wasn't even a thing. iPads weren't even a thing when I started design, I guess, or they came out right after, but it wasn't used as a drawing tablet. And there were drawing tablets out there, but I think most of them weren't, you weren't actually drawing on the screen. It was just a little tablet
that you could see on your computer.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had one of those for a little bit in college, just a little cheap one. But yeah, I did two things on it. I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, because I had a similar experience in college, even where all the stuff that we were using to because I'm a video producer, shooting and editing and stuff was irrelevant by the time I left. So I had to relearn everything, and I'm like, why did I go to school?
I feel that way all the time. I feel like I learned, there's a few reasons for this. Number one, I feel like my graphic design teacher in high school was incredible. So
it's hard to live up to those standards in college.
We actually did so she was pretty fresh out of college. She double majored in Spanish and graphic design.
Wow.
So she was teaching Spanish and graphic design. And for her curriculum, since there was she made up the graphic design program at her high school. She just made our projects were some of her college projects. So I get to college, and sophomore year of college, one of the projects was a project that I did my junior year of high school. Like same exact project. I'm like, I've done this before. Yeah. So yeah, that reason I felt like, you know, some of my first couple of the intro classes in college, I was like, I know all this stuff already. Yeah. But, you know, that's also great because I had a wonderful high school graphic design teacher. And second, I feel like I learned more
by actually doing it.
Yeah, like 6 months outside of college, having to be forced to learn real world stuff.
Right.
Than I did in like the 4 years I was in college.
I know.
And like even still, like I'm learning so much all the time.
Right.
Like I feel like I've grown so much as a designer just in the past year.
Yeah.
And like, you know, looking back on stuff, I'm like, oh, wow, I would change that because I now know these new skills or whatever. Yeah. So, yeah, but it's good that I went. I don't regret it. Like, you know, whatever. Now I'm just paying for it forever. But no,
I know. I am, though, for real. Yeah. Like, because I went to a private school, which is even a bigger mistake, you know? Yeah. I should have just...
Don't say that. It's good.
I mean, it was a mistake for me.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
But I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm just saying...
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's crazy expensive.
It is.
Like way too expensive.
It's nuts. Yeah. It's sad that like it has to be that way. Yeah. You know? Yeah. You have to be glad. There are good things about it. But yeah, they're definitely, I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I needed that. But also you can't say that because if I hadn't gone, right, I don't know if I would have like, you know, met
butterfly
the people
flapping its wings kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's good that I went. And like you said, I met a lot of cool people, like made connections with people that I might need later in life, you know? So
I changed a lot for sure in those 4 years. Like I would not want to be the person that I was senior year of high school. Oh, gosh. Still now. And I feel like college was a guiding force in helping that person get eradicated.
It's definitely like, it's a crazy 4 years because I feel like even if you're not going to college, you're just like forming your adult self. Like it's when you go from child to kind of adult,
right? Because you're at least independent.
Yeah, you have to, you know, figure out bills and taxes and like balancing work and social life and school and all these other things. So it's definitely it's good.
Yeah, for sure. So what was going back to that? What was like the first thing that you ever created as far as like drawing or illustrating that you can remember?
Gosh.
Was there something like even in high school, like maybe the first project? How is it like developed till now? Like, because your style is, I guess what I'm getting at is your style is very unique.
Sure.
Like when you see it, you're like, wow, like that, you know, it's you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very cool. And so I was wondering, is that something that developed or was that something you always had?
I definitely did not always have it. And in my in college and right out of college, so like my early 20s, which that sounds weird to say because I still feel like I'm like 5 years old. But in my early 20s, I feel like I stressed out about that a lot because I looked up to all these designers who I was like, wow, they have a style. Like they for sure have a style. I'm like, I wish I had a style. Like I felt like in college and right after, I didn't feel like my stuff looked cohesive.
Was it because you were like mimicking stuff? Like in college, I feel like you have to like do certain projects where you have to be like something.
Yeah. That could be it. I think also I have changed. My taste for like everything has changed since then. I feel like just like colors and like I get the comment a lot that like you look like your work, as in like I wear a lot of the same colors that I design in, and like I design with kind of a little bit of a vintage flair now, and like I wear a lot of vintage clothing, so kind of that vein of things, which I really feel like that is probably developed slowly over the past 2 years maybe, where things have really started to streamline, and even I can see it now. Like I feel like before I could never see it, and when people would say that they could tell something was mine, I couldn't even see it Because I'm like, you think all my stuff looks like cohesive?
Yeah.
Because I would design in random color, like the whole rainbow of colors. I would
just go nuts.
You know,
it was like
just
an LMFAO song.
Yeah, exactly.
Just splatting
just
up.
Everything.
Every color you can think of.
And like my designs, I tried to just like pack them full. So like no white space. Like everything was just like way overdone.
Why do you think that was?
I don't know.
Just you felt like it needed to be filled, otherwise you weren't getting your money's worth or something.
I guess. I'm like, oh, what else could I add? What else should I add? Like, la la la. So I feel like things were just very stuffy and like, I don't know, lots of color everywhere, lots of pattern everywhere. And like, I still will introduce those things into my work, but not on every single piece. Like, this needs everything.
Do those exist still? Those images of when you were trying to do all that stuff?
Probably.
On the internet?
I think,
or no?
Yeah, on the internet somewhere. I have a really old Behance page that probably has a lot of that stuff on it. I think
it would just be interesting to see like that compared to now.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's pretty comical. My website I've updated since then, but maybe my Instagram, if you scrolled like way back, I think I have a Facebook album that has some senior year of high school projects.
Oh, okay.
And that you definitely would be able to see like all of the color and I do like these weird splatter paint motifs on everything. Yeah, it wasn't a good look. I'm sure I thought it was a good look back
cool
then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've learned a lot since then. So
I mean, that was also the time though, because I look back at pictures of myself back in even early college, like freshman year, and I was wearing like bright yellow shirts and like a Cookie Monster hat. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, I looked so bad. Yeah,
I had just like even looking at my closet, it was like zebra print, flower print, hot pink, hot coral, blue pants, yellow pants, red pants.
Anything
like
you could want, any color you could want.
Ooh, I had this like Aztec print pants, and I had an Aztec print backpack, and I remember I wore them together one day.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Oh my gosh, there's like a photo of that somewhere. I'm like, can that just die?
Not exist anymore,
I'm like, oh man, but it's good because like, you know, you need that stuff to reflect on and be like,
and be like,
I've come so far.
How terrible did I?
Good job.
Yeah, it's all coming back. I'll save those clothes.
Yeah, it is. It's nice that everyone kind of went through that.
Yeah,
it's
hopefully.
Hopefully
everyone did. I was gonna ask, so like, what is your process then for creating now? Like, do you just kind of chill in a room like by yourself? Do you like to go out and do like illustrations, or like? That's
a great question. So coming out of the very long winter that we just had, I am so ready to just be around people right now. So yeah, I work from home. I freelance and work from home. So I'm alone most of the time.
Yeah, does that get hard, like being by yourself all day?
It does. I enjoy it. I listen to a lot of music and podcasts, and like I have my dog, so it's great. Yeah. But I do try and get to coffee shops as much as possible. In the winter, I don't really even want to go anywhere just because I don't want to drive in the snow, and terrible. I don't want to bundle up to have to go somewhere. Right. So I feel like now that the weather is nice, I love going and like working in a park or working in a coffee shop or just anywhere that people are around, even if I'm not interacting with them. Sure. Like I just need to be by some
around some human energy. Yeah.
So yeah, it really depends. Sometimes I feel super motivated when I can just like, you know, put headphones on, zone in on my work. Other times I need to like be around people or go to a coffee shop to feel like I have to work. Sometimes at home, I'll like go do the dishes and go do laundry and run around. So yeah, I feel like the process is different every time. And depending on what kind of project it is, like if it's an illustration project, you know, I might just take my iPad and go somewhere nice and pretty and quiet and just like work on it. I really enjoy, if I am at home, I have like a little home office studio, but if I'm just doing illustration work, I love just going in the living room, putting on some like The Office on Netflix or something, and having that as background and just cranking stuff out on the couch with the dog. So yeah.
So I guess with all the illustration stuff, how did that get started post college? Because you are, as we said, very busy and have a lot of clients now. Like, so how did that develop from graduating? Were you doing other things before this?
Yes. Yeah. So the illustration kind of grew organically. I never planned on being like an illustrator.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to work in like really structured editorial design or like work at a publication or something out of college.
Okay.
And I started working on like logos and stuff. I did a few for projects in college, and then, you know, friends or family would be like, hey, my mom has a jam company, and like, can you make a logo for it? So I started doing like freelance little designs here and there in college, after college. I feel like I wish I could remember how the illustration really started, but
did you have a legit corporate job after college, or did you just go into what you're doing now pretty much?
No.
Like freelance?
So I did senior year of college. I worked at Broadway Paper in the Third Ward. Yeah. So I was doing graphic design there. It was just like a part-time gig, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
So I did that September of my senior year through October after graduation.
Okay.
So I had something, you know, it wasn't a 9 to 5 salaried, whatever, but I figured that since I had something, I didn't need to jump at the first thing. You know, I wanted to take some time and find something that would be a good fit.
Yeah.
And then that October, after I graduated, I started doing in-house design at a like man-made diamond jewelry company in Franklin.
I actually know what that is. Yeah. I'm from Franklin.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I was there for a little over 2 years doing in-house design, and that was not like, I don't know. I realized during that time that wasn't what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So while I was there, I was designing a lot of like email blasts and blog posts and laying out the catalog. So kind of what I thought I had wanted to do while I was in college. But during that whole time, I still was doing freelance projects, logos, that kind of thing. And I was like, okay, this is what I actually want to do. Yeah. And I was able to use a little bit of like illustrations and hand lettering, like kind of scattered throughout some emails and blog posts and stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, I realized that like those 2 hours per week were like the best part of my job. And it was great. I learned so much there. I was doing a lot of photography there too, actually. And photographing diamonds is really hard.
I bet.
They're so reflective. Like it's extremely difficult. So I learned a lot about photographing diamonds and jewelry and retouching and all that, which I'm glad that I have now in my back pocket. But definitely wasn't what I wanted to be doing 40 hours a week. So yeah, through that time, over those 2 years, steadily like taking on more freelance projects in the evenings and weekends until I got to the point where I was almost working 2 full-time jobs. It felt like, so yeah, January of 2018 was when I started freelancing full-time.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yes.
And so now it's way better, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
You're way happier.
It's still, there's just different challenges now that come with like learning how to manage everything. Yeah. But I love it. I'm like super happy with what I'm doing. Yeah.
Cause I feel like that would be the biggest thing is like, if you are like a freelancer and work at home, like when are you done? Like, you know what I mean? Because like, when do you actually decide that it's over and you can go do stuff?
Right. Yeah. And it's so weird. I like have been talking to people about this lately. That like, I never read anymore. I used to read a ton.
Okay. Yeah.
And I feel like now that I am freelancing, every time I pick up a book and I still have projects on my plate,
are you thinking about it?
I'm like, I feel guilty. Yeah. I'm like, can I do this right now? Like, can I take an hour to like read a book?
I know.
Like, should I be working on something else? So yeah, kind of just playing with that like internal battle. And I'm like, no, I will go crazy if I work like 12 hours every day. So I need to just calm down. And,
yeah.